Big news folks, BurningLands, the upcoming realistic Vietnam-era tactical shooter, has just released their Kickstarter tier list and their goal list for this crowdfunding effort. Some good news for console players too. 0 Hour Interactive, the team behind BurningLands, have now confirmed that if they raise enough money, the game will be coming to consoles. They've also dropped a showcase of US Army and People's Army of Vietnam vehicles coming to the game, which covers the transports, boats, tanks, helicopters players will be able to drive and pilot when the game releases. Let's dive right into the Kickstarter tier list and the stretch goals the teams have outlined. As you can see, the different tiers offer early backers of the game different perks and bonuses, ranging from the basic boot tier for $28, which will include a Steam copy of the game as well as console legacy access. That will include 2 access codes, one for PlayStation 5 and one for the Xbox version of the game. These tiers go all the way up to the spooky $230 tier, which includes 4 codes to access the pre-alpha, alpha and Steam versions of the game, as well as 4 sets of the console legacy codes. Early backers will also get exclusive access to in-game items like the AKM, M2 Carbine, M1917 and M1895 revolvers if they back certain tiers for this Kickstarter. Now obviously, if money is tight, don't feel obliged to fork out your hard-earned cash, but if you want to back this project because you think it's about time we had a state-of-the-art, realistic Vietnam-era tactical shooter, then consider helping out the team in reaching their fundraising goals. Here are the fundraising milestones 0 Hour Interactive have picked out for the following content they wish to introduce to the game during the development process. If they raise $110,000, they hope to get the game out on early access. $150,000 will see them implement dismemberment. $180,000 will see the introduction of heavy armor. The Hue City map will come once they have $210,000. $250,000 will see the introduction of amphibious vehicles. The Aussie Forces will come, including an additional map, if they raise $280,000. $300,000 will see the introduction to the game of emplacements like mortars. And $325,000 will see the introduction of the ARVN forces, including an additional map, while $350,000 will see them implement the flamethrowers, which could be handheld as well as vehicle mounted, and finally, raising $400,000 will see them introduce the console edition of the game following the release of the PC version. We still don't have a launch date for the Kickstarter, but as you can see, the team are making preparations, and in the meantime, they've been busy working on various other aspects of the game. This includes an array of vehicles which will be available for both sides. Don't forget that 0 Hour Interactive highlighted in their previous developer briefing that certain vehicles can be captured by your enemies and used against you in BurningLands, so don't leave your tanks unattended with the engine running. The Jeeps will serve as small and quick transport vehicles for a max of 4 players. However, in some instances, the American M151 may have a mounted M60 machine gun, reducing the available seating to 3 players. These Jeeps can be a useful tool for reconnaissance or quick insertion of troops in the battlefield. The M5 and ZIS 150 trucks will serve 2 roles, either as logistics vehicles that can provide critical supplies to the team or transport trucks to deliver reinforcements to the front lines. These vehicles are special though, as they will be able to carry supplies and troops at the same time. The number of supplies the truck carries directly affects the number of troops that can ride in it. If the truck is carrying a lot of supplies, it will have less capacity for troops and vice versa. Therefore, players need to make strategic decisions about how much supplies to bring and how many troops to transport at any given time. This balance between supplies and troops is critical to ensure the team's success in the game. In BurningLands, the infantry will have support from ground vehicles to aid in combat. These vehicles are important assets for the team, providing support and leading charges when necessary. Different types of vehicles spawn at different intervals. Losing them can result in significant consequences for your team. To operate ground vehicles effectively, players must work in pairs, with one serving as the driver and the other as the gunner. In some cases, players may need to assume a specialized role, such as the crewman. As part of the crewman role, you can access light and heavy tanks. Your objective is to assist the infantry by coordinating with their squad leaders and using your tank to provide cover and suppressing fire on enemy forces. Just like in Hell Let Loose, it will be generally better to keep a full crew of 3 to maximize the tank's capabilities. The asymmetrical nature of this conflict is highlighted with the fact that the Americans will have access to 3 helicopters. The famous Huey helicopter will be available in 2 variants. Firstly, as a troop transport aircraft, which is also capable of slinging supplies, but also in a second variant known as the Close Air Support helicopter. Along with the Cobra attack chopper and the large Chinook transport helicopter, these air vehicles will be critical assets in providing fire support and carrying troops, supplies, and even sling loading vehicles to specific locations or recovering them. Although the Huey Close Air Support Chopper is designed for offensive operations and is armed with weapon systems to suppress enemy ground units, it can still transport troops at reduced capacity, but it will lack the ability to sling load supplies. Pilots and crewmen will need to keep a keen eye out for the ever-present threat of enemy ground units armed with RPGs and anti-air weapons. Heli crews will need to exercise caution and maintain situational awareness when operating these vehicles, because the LZ might be hot as fuck. It should be noted that all helicopters require a pilot kit to fly, so if you're playing as an infantry soldier, you won't be able to just jump in and fly a helicopter. The pilot role will have a lighter loadout, which will see them equipped with just a sidearm, making them vulnerable in combat situations. However, with proper communication and coordination between ground and air units, helicopters will be able to provide a significant advantage in maneuverability and tactical flexibility on the battlefield. As you would expect, boats will play a key transport role in the waterways of Vietnam battlefields. Amphibious operations in the war were complex and required careful coordination between ground, air, and naval forces. The use of vehicles like the PT-76, an amphibious Soviet light tank, and the American M113 armored personnel carrier, like the PBR boat and the sampan, allowed forces to navigate the challenging terrain and gain a significant advantage over their enemies. That's all for this development briefing. It looks like things are hotting up for BurningLands. I can't wait to get a chance to play this game. If 0 Hour Interactive can pull this off, I think it will be a cracker of a game. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any more future BurningLand news.